TJ from smokescreendesign.com, and I want to talk about this video that I uploaded but then I removed, and so now I wanted to make some changes to it, and that's why I removed it. There are a few things that I noticed that I want to talk about before I add this video back in with some of the changes. One of those things why I pulled it down, there were some people who said that the hand examples that I had, it showed some of the hands that weren't straight or the fingers that weren't straight or whatever, and they're kind of spread out and bent, whatever. So that did, I had to go back and just check things, and so I appreciate that. There are others who had some other things to say, which, you always got some kind of trolls or people who just have to believe in conspiracies that they see, and because they don't particularly like, for example, the Obamas, they don't like them, or it could be any presidents for that matter, but because they don't like the Obamas and they're all into conspiracies, that they got pissed off that I made this, so they couldn't refute what I had to say, so they'd come out and say things like how I love the Obamas and I've got some kind of love affair with them and how I'm defending them. Like, I'm not defending these people. They've got plenty of money. They could defend themselves if they wanted to. I'm not saying that Michelle Obama is a man, and I'm not saying that Michelle Obama is not a man. As I said, I don't know what she is. I see what people are saying. And one of the things I wanted to do with this video was to look at evidence that people are saying that is irrefutable, that's 100% fact. And what I wanted to do was to show people how to do some research on looking at facts, whether it's really fact or proof or not. And it's not a matter of coming up with an assumption or using what someone else says and then, oh, I'll look at my hand and I'll look at someone else's hand. Oh, okay, I've looked at the white race hands, and here we're looking at black people's hands. Like, well, seems to be true. You've got to have a variety of samples to see what is and what isn't. And so based on what I've come up with is that it's not fact that the man's ring finger is always bigger than the index finger, or that a woman's ring finger can only be shorter or the same size, and if a woman has a ring finger that is longer than the index finger, then that means she's a man. So that I just totally obliterated that fact, and so what I'm going to do is add more evidence into that than what I already had that proves my case. And so you could even say, well, you need a very large pool of people to prove that. But there's another thing that I will show here shortly, is that one of my friends in Cheese showed a page where there was some sort of study that showed that it's actually not true about the fingers, and if you can use that to prove the sex of the person. So that's why I'm now re-uploading it, because I've re-verified the information that I had, and I've got even more now. So that's what I am going to be doing. This is the page that my friend Int Cheese, he was sharing about this topic, and it's the sex and race differences in relative lengths of metacarpals and metatarsals in human skeletons. And this is a government site, and there's some sort of study that was done, and we know that governments sometimes they tell the truth, sometimes they distort the facts, sometimes they lie. You can take this for what it is. So I'm going to show you just my additional information that I got that kind of sort of goes along with this, except for it just makes it that where it's inconclusive as to whether the hands prove anything. So they did a study of the hands and the feet. So they said that a previous research revealed that the ratios of the lengths of various pairs of human fingers differ in males and females, and that's basically what this video coming up has concluded to be fact. And it doesn't matter what your race is either. Now, they wanted to determine whether there's parallel sex differences also exist in the lengths of human metacarpals and metatarsals, so both hands and feet were measured. And for each hand, each foot, all the 10 possible pairwise ratios for length of the 5 metapodials were calculated. So for the European Caucasian, they had 89 males, 50 females, and these are really, really small batches to really make claims about stuff. But it says there are substantial sex differences for several of the metacarpal length ratios, so for the fingers, but the pattern was not identical with the pattern previously reported. So the pattern before was different than what they're getting now. So either it changed or it's just a different batch of people that don't know. And that's why, going off of small batches like this is extremely difficult, and using it as fact that it's conclusive that the ring finger and the index finger will tell you what the sex of the person is. Can't use it. So the largest sex differences were for the 3 ratios involving the fingers, the metacarpal bones, 5 on the left hand, while the sex difference for the ratio comparing the 2nd and 4th metacarpals, which was commonly shown the largest sex differences for fingers, was small and non-significant for both hands in these European Americans. So that means the metacarpal number 5, which should be the pinky, if they start at the thumb, that says that's where the largest difference was. But the ratio for the 2nd and the 4th metacarpal, which are the bones and should be the index finger and the ring finger, no sex differences were found in any of their ratios. And for African extractions, they had 65 males, 55 females. No sex differences were found in any of the 20 metacarpal length ratios. So this outcome was unexpected because past research had shown sex differences in finger length ratios for people of African extraction. For metatarsals, that's the feet, none of the 20 ratios exhibited a substantial sex difference. So here we see a difference between the test subjects that they had for the white, Caucasian, European, and for the African. Big difference in results. So the conclusion was that a discrepancy apparently exists between the length ratios based on fingers and those based on metacarpals. So can't use it. You want to read through it, you can read through it. It's at this page, ncbi.nih.gov/PMC/articles/C2649659, and I'll try to put this link below this in the description. Try to remember doing that, and we'll move on to the next video. Hey, this is TJ from smokescreendesign.com. This video, I just want to talk a little bit about Michelle Obama. People are saying that she's a he. I really don't know. I mean, there are some things that are talked about that seem to be kind of crazy. But one thing that I wanted to discuss here is about the hand. So I thought that was really fascinating that in a couple of these videos that I came across, they talked about the trait of a man is that, like Obama, his index finger is longer than, his ring finger is longer than his index finger. That happens with almost all men. And what they're saying is that Michelle Obama, her ring finger is longer than her index finger. And I've seen some pictures where it's hard to tell if it's really any longer, if they're about the same. Then some people say that the hands were photoshopped or whatever. But I wanted to take a look at that. So my initial thing was that, well, that's something that I thought was fascinating. So I looked at my hand and my index, or my ring. I don't know why I keep getting confused here. My ring finger it's pretty longer than my index finger. It's like, okay, so that's interesting. And so I decided that I wanted to look at more. Now here's where a problem started to happen for me. We have a black man and a black woman, but in this video, irrefutable proof that Michelle Obama is a man. I'm assuming that Castle Jennifer Bassett is the originator of this video. I don't know, because it's been uploaded in so many different places that I'm not sure if she is the originator of this. But the problem began in this when I saw this video, is that when she focused on hands to prove her point, is that she used only white people. So I found that to be a problem, and I'm going to just show you a few different personal friends of mine that I've known for a long time. I'm going to show you their hands to make a point, not proving whether Michelle Obama is a man or a woman. I really have no idea, but let me just show you a couple videos.
While Michelle Obama works very hard to distort the more obvious differences, he fails miserably at hiding them all. Let's take a close look at some of the male traits that he has failed to conceal. We will begin by looking at the hands. The scientific community has known for a long time that a man's ring finger is typically longer than the man's index finger. Here are two clear pictures.
Alright, so two clear pictures showing this. This must be a man because his ring finger is longer. This must be a woman because the ring finger is either slightly shorter or it is just as long. And notice that they're two white people's hands
That illustrate the differences in ring finger proportions on male and female hands. Notice how the man's ring finger is visibly longer than his index finger. While it is not uncommon for a woman to have the ring finger and index finger at very similar lengths, it is almost unheard of for a woman to have a visibly longer ring finger. See for yourself by looking at both of your hands. Relax your hands. Put them flat on a table. Pull the fingers together and notice the length of your ring finger. Now compare it to the length of your index finger. Your hands will now testify against Michelle Obama every time.
Alright, so your hand is going to testify against Michelle Obama, and it just said, I believe it said back there that it's, come back to this, so 98%, 95%, assuming that this is the population, like 90% of the population that this applies to, so that means there is a percent that it doesn't. And I don't know whose hands were used to prove this. All white people? Was it a mix? Did they just mix them all together? Or did they segregate out the hands based upon the race of the people? How was this determined to be the absolute truth?
Index finger. Your hands will now testify against Michelle Obama every time you look at them. If we look at this X-ray of a man's hands, we can see how the bone structure of the ring finger is visibly longer than that of the index finger. If we look at an X-ray of a woman's hand, we can easily see that the tip of the ring finger appears to be slightly shorter than the index finger. In this photo of Barack and Michelle's right hands, even at a distance, Michelle's ring finger is noticeably longer than the index finger. In fact, The ring finger is so long that when we compare it with the one on the man next to him, it is easy to see that the male trait of prominent ring finger length is even more pronounced in Michelle. Here we see a person.
All right, so we've got a person. We're using an example. He's white, which I'll show
Holding
you.
up their hand. By the ring finger length, it is safe to conclude that he is a man.
And I just want to point out why I'm bringing up this race issue is, I mean, there could be definite genetic differences between races of people. And so that's why it's important to bring in this person's race for people of examples, and you'll see all these are white.
Here we see someone whose ring finger length clearly shows that she was born a female. But in this photo, wait a minute, Houston, we have a problem. The ring finger is noticeably longer.
All right, so now the ring finger is noticeably longer. So we have two black women and one black man, the president. And the two black women, their ring fingers are noticeably longer, but the black man's ring finger was not noticeably longer. It was just a little bit longer
Than the index finger, proving that Serena Williams, the famous tennis player, was in fact born a male.
Now she is saying this is conclusive evidence that this proves that they are men.
Both the shoulders and flamboyant behavior are quite telling as well. Here is a good photo of Michelle's hands. The ring fingers are both visibly longer than the index fingers. Once again, we have a clear view of the hands. It is undeniable. Those are the hands that emerged from the womb on a male child.
So she keeps saying that if the ring finger is longer, it must be a male.
Now that we have established that Michelle has the hands of a man, let's look at Michelle's shoulders.
Okay, so for her, this is proof. Those are man's hands. Now, this guy here, Pockets of the Future, did a video, and he's looking at this.
So when you look at Michelle Obama, you look at Jennifer Aniston, and you look at Serena Williams, you can see why.
And he mentions Jennifer Aniston because her ring finger is longer than the index.
They were in utero. They got a huge dose of testosterone. They have very large ring fingers, which you can see from all of these pictures. They have a very high male ratio. Let me restate this. Based on the research that I've done and the information that's available in terms of what people have known for a very long time, and that is that the ring finger and the index finger are a good indication of somebody's gender, at least in 96% of the time in men.
Okay, so the ring finger is an indication of the gender of the person in 96% of the times. So that means, however some study was done, whoever came up with these numbers, there are times when it does not indicate the sex of the individual.
And at 97% of the time in women, that would be the case. In men, the ring finger would be longer, and women, the index finger.
Now notice they keep using white people's hands as proof of this.
Would be longer. Now, there would be some cases, 3 to 4%, where like in a woman, you would have a ring finger that was maybe a tad longer or maybe equal to the index finger. And in men, you'd have a similar situation where the fingers would almost look identical if you looked at it. It'd be hard to judge. And maybe if you measured them, you'd find that in men, the ring finger was a little bit smaller than the index finger. And in women, the index finger was a little bit smaller than the ring finger. And that would be the anomaly. But since I've came across this phenomenon, I've been asking people to show me their hands, and I've looked around, and you just won't see a woman with a very large ring finger, so much larger than her index finger that it would be noticeable in pictures like we see in the case of Michelle Obama, Jennifer Aniston, and Serena Williams. But let's just say.
All right, so he said he asked people for pictures. I don't know who he knows. And he said, you will not see, remember this, he's saying you will not see the ring finger of a woman noticeably larger than the index finger. So he's saying the same thing as this other girl.
That they are the 3 or 4%, where they're the anomaly. They're the exception to the rule. We'd have to look at secondary characteristics, and there's other ways.
All right, so then they say, well, it would be an anomaly if that happened. So I was curious, and I was like, I wonder if I have any friends that would fit this anomaly. anomaly. And I was curious too if Patty. I said, "What about think about famous people?" And I said, "What about Patti LaBelle?" In this picture, it seems to be that her ring finger is noticeably longer than the index finger. I'm like, "Oh, great! So now is Patti LaBelle a man?" I don't know Patti LaBelle, so I couldn't answer that. But this, when I started thinking of the famous black women, I started, let me check black women to use that as a base for determining if black women's fingers match up with what's being said. So Patti LaBelle, okay, she must be part of that, either a man or this 3% unusual. So I said, let me look at people I know. So I looked on Facebook. No, I came across a friend of mine. She had posted this image. People share those on Facebook. She shared this person here. I don't know if that's Sonia or Sonia, how she says her name, but this is not my friend. So she shared this picture. Which one are you? It's supposed to tell you about yourself. And so, woman, she says she's C, which is that the index and the ring finger are about the same size. A B is that the index finger is longer, or that A, the ring finger is noticeably longer. So she was a C, okay, so she fits with that woman. Finger size. Here's a guy, Chris. He was an A, so ring finger's longer. Tanya was B. So they're, I believe that was about the same size, or was that? It doesn't matter. So here's Amika, which now she is a ring finger is longer. And here's Brenda, she was a B. Kalenda, she was a ring finger is longer. Now I don't have pictures on these. We don't know how much longer they are, but these are all ring finger longer people, or A. I don't know if that's Sela or Sela or how to say her name, but ring finger longer. And this is Gary, ring finger longer. Tina, ring finger longer. Brother Man, ring finger longer. So Sunya's just saying that she was, she's the oddball here, just kind of responding. And Carol says she was an A as well. So then Tanya's trying to figure out B or C, but so that would fit the profile for a woman. And then here's Clyde, wow, I'm an A, I never noticed that. So guy, that's what we would expect based on that. Theron, he's a C, so he doesn't fit the A. That's said for a guy. Venetia, C. Sharmia, C. Kara, she's an A. Ring fingers longer. Tammy's a C. Miss Coco's an A. Nikki's an A. Victoria's an A. Cece's an A. Now look what Cece says. I didn't realize how much my ring finger is way longer than my index finger. Even more than this pic shows. Making me feel like I have a weird hands now. Well, I guess that means all these women are really men. But based on that study I showed in the beginning, we see that there's a lot of people with a longer ring finger. Nikki's an A, Victoria's an A. Oh, said that already. Ramon is an A, Brent's an A, Sherry's an A. So we've got a lot of A's here, a lot of longer ring finger. Like I said, we don't have a picture to see how much longer it is. because supposedly it is supposed to be noticeably longer, which, I mean, that's kind of relative. And my friends, this is a picture of her hand with her fingers close together. So her ring finger is longer than her index finger. It's hard to really picture this, but it seems like it's getting kind of close to the same as her middle finger, which I would consider, without seeing more pictures or better pictures, but it seems to me that this is noticeably longer than the index finger. So this is where she shared that same picture, shared Sonia's picture, and she says, I'm an A. The ring finger is noticeably longer. So then her friends, Clara, she's an A, me too. Jessica, me too. Tasha, well, I'm a B. She's shocked at the description. Tasha says, I just realized this pic is for the left hand and I did the right. So my right hand is B, my left hand is A. So depending on people, their whatever hand it is could be different. Jeanette, A. Shelly, this is, all these people are black except for Shelly's a white woman. She's an A. And ring finger's longer. So this guy is an A. I believe he's black and his wife is white and she's a C. Tanya, A. I'm an A. And then this is her son, Rob, which appears that he's an A, but his is probably similar to his mom's. So he's an A, and this is Lisa's son. And then here's this Nikki's a B, and Nikia is an A, and Anthony's an A. So we've got a lot of A's here where the ring finger is longer than the index finger. Now what they're saying is that it's got to be noticeably longer. And this is a guy, one of my friends, and I mean it's barely noticeably longer. So does that mean he doesn't qualify for that part of being a guy? Now the picture examples that I have coming after this, you'll see Lisa, her hand, you'll see her son Rob's hand, you'll see her daughter's hand, and possibly her mother or their grandmother's hand. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave the rest of the video in. And it just shows like some of their hands are just not straight. So they're bent. They're crooked. And that's why I wanted to add this additional information so you can see how, depending on the shots, how the hand is laying, that it could be tricky because I believe that when I was looking at Rob's hand in the video as it continues, that it looked like his index finger was longer, which actually they're kind of close. So I'll just go ahead and leave those in with all this added information, just so you can see that you just got to do more of a study. It's not conclusive as to whether it does prove a man or a woman. So you got to throw that part of the evidence out. And this is my friend's wife. I've known my friend for a really long time, and black family. And if you look at her ring finger, it is almost as long. It might be the same length as the middle finger. And look at the index finger, very short. So the ring finger is really long compared to the index finger. So am I supposed to say that now she's a man and I know they have children together? And these are people I personally know. Alright, so now we've got two black women that are showing the ring finger that is much longer. So I'm like, wow, I must know some people who are like within this 3% group. So let me keep looking. Two friends of mine, a mother and a daughter. The mother's finger, look at that ring finger, right? She has two children. I've known her for a long time. I've even used to work for her. And we've got a ring finger much longer than the index finger. another black woman. So I'm like, okay, this is starting to be more common than I thought. Looking at her daughter's finger, and just use this one picture, but her ring finger is longer than her index finger. And this picture looks like questionable whether it is or not. And I looked at another picture just to make sure, and it was not as extreme as this one, but definitely longer. So I said, well, keep looking. I looked at her son, and her son's finger, his index finger, is longer than his ring finger. So let me get this right. Mom is a man, daughter is a man, and the son is a girl. Like, yeah, that's not quite fitting here with what they say is supposed to happen. So what I'm starting to see is what I was suspecting, that possibly these numbers don't work, or maybe with the black race, is that it's different. It's not the same as the white race. So I looked and saw the picture of, I believe this is their grandmother, and look at her index finger, and look at her ring finger, much longer, which if you looked would probably be a match to this. If you look at the length, maybe this, I don't know who this is, this might be her mom. So if you look, very short, long. So here's a black woman, very noticeably different. So this is possibly her daughter. So here we have 3 generations of a black family where they do not fit. This is a totally different person from a totally different family, doesn't fit. Here we have Patti LaBelle, doesn't fit. So can you use the hand as conclusive proof that this person is a male or female? No, absolutely not. This is what real research is, not this other stuff that people are doing. And this was way too easy for me to spend a few minutes to find a few people to see if it fits. And I would have had more if it was easier to find my friends' hands in pictures. I would have had more to look at. I have one of my friends, I didn't put his picture in here, but his ring finger and his index finger, he's another black guy, and they were the same size. So he didn't really fit in either one. So remember, when you're doing research or when you are looking at information that people are sharing that they say is research and is irrefutable proof, make sure that, we talk about science, make sure that you are using logic and checking all the different possibilities of what could be before making absolute claims about what is or what isn't. So let's say Michelle really is a woman, it's really not a guy. Think about what people are doing to this person's reputation, and it's just wrong. All based on something that may or may not be true. And like I said, I don't know if Michelle is a man, if Michelle is a woman. I have no idea. And so I just wanted to make this video just to show that things that you want to do to when you are looking at evidence, to do as much research as possible, and use your evidence from various places instead of, like in this case, multiple races, just to see. So I did black, did white, and it doesn't match up.